The tale unfolds in the grandeur of the Count family palace within the illustrious Seldom Kingdom. Our protagonist, Jamie Welton, awakens in his bed, haunted by the persistent recurrence of a peculiar dream. Jamie, the eldest son and the designated heir to the Seldom Kingdom's Count family, bears a secret burden. In a past life, he was Diablo Volper, a formidable warlord sealed away by the 12 heavenly gods. As Diablo faced his sealing, he ominously foretold that upon his awakening, the gods' radiant light would fade into darkness, subjecting them to eternal suffering and compelling them to beg Jamie for release. These gods, unfazed by Diablo's prophecy, expressed anticipation for the moment Jamie would awaken. They consigned Diablo to an eternity of torment, sealing him away. Yet Diablo, after what felt like an eternity, discovered a crack in the barrier, paving the way for his reincarnation as the firstborn of the Welton family. Reborn as an infant, he now experiences the life of nobility, showered with love from his parents, a far cry from the warlord he once was. Fast forward 9 years, and Jamie Welton sighs at the prospect of yet another wearisome day. His maid enters, surprised by Jamie's early rising, and he feigns appreciation for the morning sky. Despite Jamie's lack of enthusiasm for the attention, he puts on a cheerful facade. The maid, duly impressed, informs him that his parents await him downstairs. After a swift change of clothes, Jamie descends, silently contemplating the monotonous routine that awaits him. Downstairs, the Welton family eagerly awaits Jamie's presence. His mother, Sears Bell Welton, hailing from the prestigious Bell family, beams with joy, charmed by the perceived cuteness of her children. Jamie's father, the head of the Welton Count's family and one of the kingdom's 5 revered swordmasters, is enamored with both his wife and children. The family tableau is completed by Jamie's younger sister, Sarah Welton. To the external observer, they epitomize the quintessential happy family. However, Jamie harbors a starkly different perspective, finding the carefully constructed happiness to be a tiresome facade. As the formalities unfold, Jamie can't help but retreat into introspection. Once back in his room, he lies on his bed, contemplating the ceaseless struggle to acclimate to the overwhelming affection emanating from his family. Despite the external appearances of joy and unity, the dichotomy between Jamie's external role as the cherished heir of the Welton family and his internal turmoil as the reincarnated Diablo Volper paints a poignant picture. Growing older has brought some relief to Jamie's life in the Grand Mansion. In his early years, Jamie wanted to get sealed again, stemming from the challenge of speaking with a cute tone, a consequence, as he believed, of having a short tongue. However, amidst this internal struggle, Jamie found solace in the opulence of the mansion and the myriad activities it offered. The private library, in particular, held a special allure for him. In the midst of Jamie's contemplations, his shikigami, a supernatural creature, materialized and perched itself on his head. A sense of weakness overcame Jamie, but he quickly reassured himself that being reborn presented a unique opportunity. He crushed his shikigami, resenting the 12 gods who, in his previous life as Diablo Volper, had sealed him away. Jamie saw them as parasitic entities still leeching off their believers, and he harbored a deep-seated anger toward their arrogance. Acknowledging the limits of his powers in an era devoid of dark magic, Jamie found comfort in the knowledge that time was on his side. Despite the absence of his formidable past abilities, he vowed to grow stronger and ultimately overthrow the 12 gods who had once held dominion over him. In the midst of these intense thoughts, Jamie's routine was disrupted by the entrance of his maid. She reminded him with a warm smile that it was time for his daily children's book reading session with his mother. The abrupt transition from his dark musings to the cheerful task at hand required Jamie to switch to a cute demeanor, something he found internally irksome. Nevertheless, he put on a facade of affection and assured the maid that he would join them shortly. As Jamie made his way to join his mother and sister for the reading session, he couldn't help but reflect on the incongruity of his internal turmoil with the external image he projected. His mother and sister greeted him with surprise, taken aback by the cuteness Jamie exuded. Instantly, they enveloped him in warm embraces, expressing genuine delight at his adorable demeanor. Seated for the reading, Jamie wore a sparkling smile as he inquired about the chosen book. His mother, seemingly charmed by his cuteness, engaged him in a lively reading session. As the story unfolded, Jamie expressed genuine enjoyment and revealed his aspirations to become a great magician, drawing inspiration from the characters in the book. His mother, appearing impressed, assured Jamie of his potential success, citing his past achievements in defeating 3 magic teachers. Jamie, however, couldn't shake off a sense of skepticism, wondering if his mother's encouraging words concealed a form of mockery. Despite this uncertainty, his mother patted his head affectionately, adding that his father would arrange for the guidance of the greatest magician to further hone his skills. Encouraged by this revelation, Jamie couldn't help but express admiration for his father's abilities. His mother, seizing the moment, attempted to divert him from his usual routine, suggesting playtime instead of heading to the library. Unyielding, Jamie politely but firmly insisted on pursuing his interests in the library. As his mother sought to hug, Jamie, torn between his desire to break free and his mother's affection, relented and fell into her embrace. Yet as she implored him to forsake the library in favor of spending time with her, Jamie, with a mix of politeness and determination, he tells his mother to let him go. Entering the library, Jamie settled into a chair with a book in hand. As he closed the latest tome on mana breathing, disappointment washed over him. It didn't offer the help he sought. His contemplation was interrupted by a call for his meal, a routine that had grown tiresome, dining with his parents 3 times a day. Leaving the library and stepping into the hall, Jamie noticed an old man. Puzzled, he wondered about the stranger's identity. The old man greeted Jamie, surprising him with the tremendous amount of mana radiating from his body like a tempest. Jamie speculated that the old man was likely a 7th-class magician, intrigued by the question of how he arrived without a guide, perhaps teleportation. Considering the possibility of the old man being an intruder, Jamie hesitated. However, the man's relaxed demeanor didn't fit the profile of an intruder in a swordmaster's mansion. Seeking answers, Jamie questioned the old man about his identity and purpose. Unfazed, the old man, excited by the significant mana Jamie possessed, remarked on the son of a tiger being a tiger himself. In the old man's eyes, Jamie surpassed the average. Growing irritated by the old man's lack of a direct response and his attempt to gauge Jamie's potential, Jamie prepared to attack. Ready to unleash a spell, he observed the old man's laid-back attitude and felt the need to assert his strength. The old man, seemingly unfazed, only fueled Jamie's irritation. In response, Jamie began to ready a spell, signaling his intent to take action. The old man, impressed by Jamie's mana and intrigued by his demeanor, reciprocated by initiating the same spell. A tension hung in the air as both individuals prepared for a potential confrontation. Observing the old man mirroring his actions, Jamie's anger intensified. The audacity of the old man testing him, a figure who had once stood on the brink of defeating even gods in a past life, fueled Jamie's determination. Ready to unleash his spell upon the old man, Jamie's resolve showcased the immense power that lay within him. In the midst of an enchanted confrontation, Jamie directed the force of his magical prowess towards the elderly man, anticipation hanging thick in the air. The elderly gentleman, however, displayed a mastery that belied his age, effortlessly parrying Jamie's magical assault. The young magician, expecting his conjured energies to wreak havoc, was left dumbfounded by the old man's skillful defense. The result was far from what Jamie had envisioned. Despite the unexpected turn of events, the seasoned old man found delight in the spectacle of a 9-year-old like Jamie wielding such potent magic. Responding with a spell of his own, the elderly man directed it away from Jamie, who, recognizing that the magic was not aimed at him, stood motionless. The old man, taken aback by Jamie's lack of reaction, the magical skirmish reached an unexpected climax as Jamie's father, sensing the tension, entered the scene just in time to intercept the old man's mystical assault. Concern etched on his face, Jamie's father immediately inquired about his son's well-being. Jamie, seizing the moment, feigned weakness and burst into tears, adding an emotional layer to the already charged atmosphere. His father, angered by what seemed to be the old man's callous mistreatment of Jamie, scolded him for reducing his son to tears. Yet the elderly gentleman found amusement in Jamie's apparent shyness, seeing it as a unique reaction. As the magical energies dissipated, the room settled into an uneasy calm. They gathered around, finding solace in the ritual of sharing a cup of tea. Jamie's father, recognizing the need to diffuse the tension, revealed Jamie as the heir to the Welton family. He expressed his displeasure at the unexpected magical assault on his son, further fueling the tension between the two parties. The old man asked the Count that how much he knows about his son. The Count replies about what? Marquis Limmel acknowledged Jamie's innate genius. The Count, skeptical and still nursing his anger from the earlier assault, questioned the old man's credibility after such a display. Marquis Limmel, unfazed by the Count's suspicions, dismissed his concerns, suggesting that the Count knew little about his own son. The Count's anger persisted, but Marquis Limmel urged him to calm down, claiming to sense his aura and perhaps seeing beyond the surface of the situation. The revelation of Marquis Limmel's identity as the strongest 8th-class great magician among the living added another layer of complexity to the unfolding narrative. Jamie's father, now intrigued by the potential mentorship of such a prestigious figure, questioned the likelihood of Marquis Limmel accepting Jamie as his student. Suspicion crept into the Count's voice as he pondered whether his son lacked the necessary magical aptitude. In response, Marquis Limmel offered an unexpected explanation. He couldn't accept Jamie as his student, not due to a lack of talent on Jamie's part, but because he doubted his own ability to handle the extraordinary abilities that Jamie possessed. The revelation left the room steeped in a mixture of awe and uncertainty. The Count stood there, his mind reeling from the unexpected revelation delivered by Marquis Limmel. The seasoned magician calmly informed the Count that his son, Jamie, possessed the extraordinary ability to comprehend and read all of the Marquis's intricate magical maneuvers. It was a revelation that struck the Count with disbelief, struggling to fathom that his young son could decipher the complexities of such advanced magic. Marquis Limmel, however, exuded a certain assurance as he continued, revealing that Jamie was impervious to the influence of his own magic. The Count was further astonished when the Marquis described how Jamie had not flinched in the face of his magical onslaught, displaying an unprecedented composure that defied his tender age. According to the Marquis, Jamie's innate magical prowess had already elevated him to the level of a third-class magician through his relentless self-teaching. Moreover, when accounting for Jamie's physical limitations, Marquis Limmel boldly declared that Jamie could be considered on par with, or even surpassing a fourth-class magician. The Count grappled with the weight of this revelation, recognizing that his son was no ordinary child, but possibly a prodigious force in the world of magic. Labeling Jamie as either a genius or a prodigy, Marquis Limmel conveyed a belief that such a remarkable child required no formal instruction. The Count, still trying to wrap his mind around this newfound understanding of his son's capabilities, was encouraged by the Marquis to continue supporting Jamie's growth. The Marquis went further, prophesying the potential birth of a legendary ninth-class magician, a notion that left the Count both astonished and elated. The idea that his son could achieve such a revered status filled him with a sense of pride and hope for Jamie's extraordinary future. Expressing remorse for his earlier magical assault on Jamie, Marquis Limmel shifted the conversation, forewarning the Count of an impending magical storm. The Marquis cryptically stated that this storm wouldn't merely impact the realm of magic, but would extend its reach to influence the entire world. With a swift and mesmerizing display of teleportation magic, Marquis Limmel vanished, leaving the Count to grapple with the weight of the impending magical upheaval and the remarkable destiny that seemed to await his son. The scene transitioned to Jamie's room, where the young magician, still reeling from the events that transpired, found himself fatigued. His mother, upon hearing about the altercation with Marquis Limmel, had kept Jamie confined for hours. Despite the confinement, Jamie felt a deep sense of satisfaction and awe at having witnessed actual magic. The Marquis's attack had left a lasting impression, but it was Jamie's father, Count Argina Welton, who garnered the majority of his admiration. Reflecting on the strength displayed by his father during the confrontation, Jamie was in awe of the man he thought he knew so well. He realized that his father's prowess extended far beyond his previous understanding. The revelation stirred a newfound certainty within Jamie. His father was not just a strong figure, but one worthy of admiration and respect. Suddenly, and almost as if summoned by Jamie's thoughts, Marquis Limmel appeared in the room. The older man, observing Jamie's demeanor, questioned the young magician about the cause of his laughter. Startled by the unexpected presence of Marquis Limmel, Jamie asked why the old man was in his room. Marquis Limmel, amused by Jamie's surprise, casually revealed that he had teleported himself in. Jamie, still grappling with the shock of not noticing the seasoned magician's arrival, acknowledged that the old man was no ordinary individual. Marquis Limmel, intrigued by Jamie's distinct behavior in the presence of family compared to strangers, laughed and commented on the young magician's amusing personality. As the conversation continued, the room became a nexus of magic and mystery, where the legendary Marquis Limmel and the prodigious Jamie shared a moment in time that held the promise of an extraordinary future. Jamie found Marquis Limmel peculiar, questioning why the old man scrutinized him so intensely, especially considering they had just met. To Jamie's surprise, the Marquis produced a magical tome and handed it over. Perplexed, Jamie asked the reason behind this unexpected gift. In response, Marquis Limmel explained that the magic he had used earlier was outdated, and thus he was bequeathing Jamie with the book. Jamie felt a surge of anger, interpreting the gesture as a slight to his magical abilities. However, Marquis Limmel clarified that the tome contained magic he had personally created. Jamie would be the first to explore its contents, a revelation that intrigued the young magician. As Marquis Limmel prepared to depart, he expressed high expectations for Jamie's potential, leaving the young magician to wonder about the changes the next encounter might bring. Jamie, embracing the challenge, assured the Marquis that the results would likely exceed his expectations. Excitement fueled Jamie as he delved into the magical tome, discovering mana-breathing techniques and methods of absorbing mana into one's heart. The prospect of new and unconventional magic piqued Jamie's interest. However, the intricacies of the techniques presented a daunting challenge. The need for precision, especially in absorbing mana through the skin, forced Jamie to reconsider his initial enthusiasm. Lying on his bed, Jamie contemplated the difficulty of manipulating mana materials to achieve the required precision. The task seemed insurmountable for most, but not for Diablo Volfer, as Janie referred to himself. With determination, he envisioned a method to absorb mana through his skin, acknowledging that he would have to feel each mana material to make it work. The uniqueness of Janie's approach lay in his refusal to accept the conventional limitations of old techniques. While others deemed it impossible, Jamie, as Diablo Volfer, saw it as a challenge to overcome. Excitement surged through him as he envisioned the possibilities unlocked by this new perspective. Sitting up, Janie resumed reading the magical tome, eager to explore its secrets. He decided to put his newfound insights into practice, summoning his Shikigami, Black, a one-eyed bat. Instructing Black to break down some mana, Janie witnessed as the Shikigami shattered the mana, producing particles that floated around him. The first hurdle was conquered, breaking the mana into a size suitable for absorption through Janie's skin. However, this method had limitations, requiring a fixed location and size. Undeterred, Janie relied on Black, his contracted familiar, to assist him in overcoming these constraints. Black is someone who made a soul contract with Janie. With the first challenge resolved, Janie faced the next, absorbing the mana. Fortunately, this posed no problem for him, as his body lacked the conventional limits. Janie could store mana in multiple places within his being, a testament to the boundless potential he believed lay within himself. In this pursuit of magical innovation, Jamie, as Diablo Volfer, forged ahead, fueled by an unyielding determination to defy the norms and push the boundaries of magical possibility. The magical tome became not just a source of knowledge, but a catalyst for Janie's journey into uncharted territories, where the old gave way to the new, and the impossible became a realm waiting to be conquered. Outside Janie's room, his father and the maid observe him. The Count is surprised to see Janie's mana swirling around him. He knew Marquis had given Janie some advice, but he didn't expect Janie's mana to transform so quickly. The Count thinks that maybe his son has a hidden talent. He instructs the maid to let Janie be for the day, as they never know when he might come out. The maid assures the Count that she will keep an eye on Janie. The Count is fascinated to discover that Janie is a magician rather than a sword user, speculating that it might be influenced by his wife's family. This surpasses the Count's expectations for Janie. He smiles, thinking Janie might be the 9th-class magician. The scene shifts to the next day in Janie's room, where he has successfully performed the mana manipulation described in Marquis's book. Initially challenging, Janie managed to move and break apart mana after a few attempts. However, Janie is disappointed as, for now, 4th-class mana is his limit. He considers it frustrating as he was close to reaching the 5th class. Black suggests that Janie reform his body, but Janie declines, stating that he knows his current body is young and weak. Black is disappointed, but Janie assures him that he will try to be patient since the gods won't disappear, and he has already walked this path once. Janie uses a spell to make Black invisible and informs him that he plans to meet his father. He instructs Black to hide his mana to avoid his father detecting him. Jamie is pleased that even he couldn't sense Black and is confident that his father won't either. As Janie goes outside to meet his father, the scene shifts to the Count's room, where he is talking to a man. The man thanks the Count for allowing Jinnis into his territory. The Count explains that he thought it would benefit the locals and decided to permit them. The man asks for clarification, and the Count elaborates on his decision. The Count assures the man that he has always pursued excellence and intends to make Jinnis the foremost religion in his territory. The man interprets this as the Count asserting his superiority and issuing a warning not to mistreat residents as if they were gods. Although the man had heard rumors about the Count and knows not to underestimate him, the Count suggests they end the conversation due to the man's busy schedule. They bid farewell to each other. As the man departs, the Count's expression shifts from a smile to a serious demeanor. Outside, Janie observes the man leaving and notices the symbol of a crescent moon holding a yellow sphere, emitting impure divine power. Janie is astonished that Jinnis is now in their territory. He questions his father's sudden decision to allow religion, especially Jinnis. Feeling restricted and with limited choices, Janie decides he must meet with his father and start investigating that night. Janie enters his father's office, where they both sit down. The Count inquires if Janie has completed everything. Janie confirms and expresses his fondness for magic. His father, deep in thought, reveals his concern that he had hoped Janie would grow up as a normal boy. However, Janie's extraordinary talent has made a normal life impossible. The Count reflects on the challenges of being recognized for talent and the subsequent scrutiny if growth is stunted. He questions if this is truly best for Janie. The Count assures Janie that he is free to quit magic if he wishes, but as long as Janie continues, his father will support him. Janie reassures his father, expressing his determination not to give up on magic. The Count is pleased but surprised by the level of mana Janie possesses for a 9-year-old. He senses mana throughout Janie's body, which astounds him, as mana is believed to be stored only in the heart. The Count asks if Janie mastered the magic tome given by Marquis Limmel the previous day. Janie proudly informs his father that not only did he master the magic tome, but he also addressed the issues he was facing. The Count is shocked, unable to believe the significant improvement his son achieved in just one day. He begins to think that Janie might have the potential to become the legendary 9th-class magician. Overwhelmed with pride, the Count laughs, realizing that compared to Janie's talent, his own seems insignificant. Jamie, puzzled, asks his father what's amusing. His father explains that he is laughing out of pride and affection, patting Janie's head. Internally, Janie wishes his father would stop the affectionate gestures. His father notices something on Janie's head and asks if it's a summon. Janie is surprised that his father can see black, as he was sure he had applied invisibility. The Count remarks that it looked too round for a bat, prompting Janie to wonder about his father's exceptional abilities. Jamie explains that he shaked it like a bat and hit it, thinking his father would be surprised. The Count hugs Janie, expressing immense pride and calling him a genius. Later, tired, Janie retreats to his room, reflecting on the abundance of love and affection in their household. At night, Janie dons a cloak and ventures outside. Calling Black, who conjures wings for Jamie, he prepares to uncover the reason behind Janice coming to his territory. Janie flies around the land with Black's wings. In an alley, two men, Philip with purple hair and Jance with brown hair, discuss their predicament. Philip, a mid-officer of a criminal organization named Level, believes they must engage in human trafficking to survive. Jance disagrees, expressing disbelief that higher-ups would sacrifice half the organization for personal gain. He warns Philip about the consequences, as Count Welton, who loves his children, would not tolerate such activities in his territory. Philip, confident in their luck, mentions that Hanni's men are willing to carry out the plan. Jance prefers running away over snitching, adhering to underground rules. They debate their options, acknowledging the challenges they face. Meanwhile, Jamie overhears their conversation and steps forward, surprising both Philip and Jance. They inquire about Janie's identity. Hearing them, Jamie laughs, draped in a cloak, a chilling mimicry of the Grim Reaper's foreboding presence.